close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust.
What's up guys, Nate here. Today we are gonna do some chest and arms. It's a little different though, so I'm gonna show you guys some techniques for chest, how to help get your chest to grow. So I get a lot of inquiries, messages, especially when I do the Q&A on Instagram about, building your chest. Seems like a chest and back are usually, if you have it genetically, are not strong in that area, it can be hard to grow. So I'm gonna show you a little bit, a couple tips and tricks that hopefully can help you build your chest. So it won't be just a traditional chest workout. It'll be like a little bit, some extra fluff per se, to try to help bring up the chest. Because I think sometimes people don't really, they just go through the motions. So this will hopefully give you guys a little bit of an idea mechanically how to target your chest without, getting involvement from your shoulders and your triceps. Generally speaking, people that have better genetically strong shoulders or arms can press a lot, but their chest gets not much activation, where their shoulders and their triceps are getting the activation. So today we'll try to break it down and help you guys that have that issue get past that point.
Let's run away.
Alright, so our first movement today was the pec deck chest fly. I just really like this machine. It's sort of a classic, but it just always has a really great contraction. For me personally, if I have a weak area that I want to bring up, I'll usually do an isolation movement before that. I know a lot of people are so stuck on progressive overload that they might worry about like doing an isolation movement before a pressing movement because it'll take away from their strength. It may for a little bit, but you'll get adjusted and get used to that. But for me, I really like doing a fly before pressing because one, it gets you nice and warmed up, so it keeps you away from injury. And two, it gets a nice blood flow in there. You get a nice pump, and I think that helps activate your chest through pressing because you got that pre-fatigue a little bit. You got a nice pump going. That mind-muscle connection is like activated, and then when you go to press, it's a little bit easier to get a connection on your chest, especially if you don't generally have a great connection with that muscle.
6 years later, trying to find me, still trying to figure out the mind. Looking for the love inside me.
Alright, so next we moved on to flat bench on the Smith. So I like using the Smith for something that you might have a trouble activating, getting a mind muscle connection. So I like them on too, on like legs. So sometimes if you're like have weak quads and you're glute hamstring dominant, I would use like a Smith. So for that example as well, for here, you got a weak chest, using the Smith is great because you're taking out the stabilizer muscles and all the other action going on to balance the bar, so you can focus a little bit more on the chest. And also what you'll see here is we went probably a lot lighter. You'll see I put my feet up on the bench. So what I do is, it's not very traditional, but I sort of slouch and like shorten my abdominal region. So I slouch, and then as I'm pushing the bar, I take my hands and I try to push them against the metal bar. So that will create a contraction. So I find the optimal contraction there. You can't go as heavy as a normal bench, but you're getting all the load and weight on your chest as you're pressing that. So if you see right here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but this is a good example, is take something like this and you push it together with your fists, your chest contracts. So right now my chest is contracting when I push my fists together. So if you take that and visualize and apply that to the bar on the Smith. So another reason why it's good to use a Smith, it's harder to do on a free barbell, but you would pretty much on your, nice and slow stretch, and on your way up, you're pushing in on the bar, trying to touch your hands together, which physically you can't, but it's a visualization you practice. So that helps a lot. And as you'll see too, sometimes I slow my reps down a little bit, not like time under tension, but like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that kind of cadence. That's gonna help you get a better contraction. So if you're moving fast and you already have a weak mind muscle connection, not gonna help any. So slowing it down a little bit and really getting a contraction. And as you get a better mind muscle connection doing these kind of things, as you progress, you don't always have to keep these in your pocket, but what it's gonna do is teach you how to connect with that muscle, teach you how to contract. And then when you go to free barbell bench, it'll be easier to connect on that exercise because you're doing all this stuff. On to the hammer strength flat press machine. So another good thing is if anyone has a weaker chest or it's been really hard to develop, I think I'm not a huge believer in machines, but I think for chest, going back to machines and learning how to activate it through machine work is a really great tool to help develop your chest. So for me, like a few years back, my chest wasn't really growing the way I wanted to, so I started doing a lot more machine work. So like if you guys have one of those like stacked flat presses or whatever, those are great. Even like Life Fitness, and those are really good. And then like the one you just see me do with a plate loaded hammer strength flat press, really good. I'm not a huge fan of the hammer strength plate loaded like incline and those setups. I like the flat press a little bit, but some of those pin loaded machines are actually, I feel like, a lot better than the plate loaded on that one at least. Usually if people prefer the plate loaded for a chest, I usually prefer the other way around. So pretty much my message is don't be scared to, go back a little bit and reintroduce a lot more machine work. That's why I did the Smith too. I consider that similar to a machine because the mechanics, you're not using a bunch of stabilization and stuff like that. It's not free motion. It is latched to something to keep it in a smooth cadence. So machine work is good there. That one, there's nothing really to it. I mean, I get a good activation there. It's really just finding the chest machines that you feel a good squeeze contraction. Usually the ones that come in are really nice. Some of them don't really come in, and I don't really like those because you don't really get a contraction. But those ones that come in, you can get a really hard squeeze. So doing machine work, pretty much, get some of that in there, and that'll help definitely bring the chest up, I think. Next we did incline dumbbell fly. So I really like this exercise. Usually by myself, I really get a good nice stretch there and you feel a good pump I usually have it at the end of my chest workout. So I find it's a really good placement there. Just because you're fatigued already, you got a good pump. It's a little easier to connect on those. Sometimes they're not great, and that's why you'll see if you do have a partner or a training partner, you'll see here today I had a training partner and he was able to give me assistance in a fight. So that way it's gonna almost mimic like a cable. There's always constant tension. So I love the dumbbell fly, but the only problem is there's a lot of tension lost in that movement. Probably 40% of that movement, there's not much tension there. So with a partner there, you're really gonna create a crazy pump, and you're gonna fight as he fights you. So that's creating contraction all the way through that, all the way through that exercise. So it's really, really great there. I love it with a partner. You get a crazy pump. It makes that exercise much more efficient. So yeah, give it a try if you guys have a workout partner. so we finished up with chest. And another note, since we're talking about bringing up like genetically weak areas or weaknesses in general, you'll notice we only did 4 exercises. So what happens is a lot of time people overcompensate and do more for a weaker body part. That doesn't necessarily always work. Sometimes, you know, it's not a bad thing to try. Like, so some people will do back twice a week, which works great. Sometimes people do chest twice a week, which is great. But if your chest is not growing, sometimes you have to look at, you know, form, mind muscle connection, rep tempo, cadence, you know, make sure you're getting good contraction, exercise selection or sequence. So the order you put your exercises in is very important in my opinion for building muscle. So there's always a rhyme and a reason why I do things in that order. So, you know, try to figure out what order is great for you instead of just doing more. So a lot of times what people do is they have a weak body part, so they only do 30 sets for chest, but they might still be training wrong. So you're really just, you know, spinning yourself in a circle. So we finished up with the partner assisted flies, and then we went on the triceps. So what we did is I always start with a tricep push down, just because it's good to warm up your elbows. I always have a great connection and contraction with it. It's one exercise I always know I'm gonna get a good pump. So you'll see here I like going underhand grip, and what happens is I can hit that inner tricep head really hard when I come down and squeeze like here. So instead of like a traditional pull down, which is here, I'm getting a much better contraction on that inner head. So for me, the inner head is what I'm trying to like work more. I mean, obviously some outer head, but if you think about how important the inner head of tricep is and how big your arm size is, it's like 75% of your tricep, whereas the other head is like 25%. So you think about your front double bicep, you have that big tricep meaty hang, back double bicep, big tricep meaty hang. So it really improves a lot of shots. Even your side tricep right here, you get the tricep coming out. And then you'll notice we did a rest pause set at the end. So just pretty much going to failure. So I like throwing these intensifiers on triceps, even biceps, do drop sets, rest pauses. Small muscle group can take a beating. So we're really just sort of chasing the pump with arms usually. But you'll notice I do, you know, 10 reps, 10-second rest, same weight. And then to keep going, I'll switch my grip because it's just easier to keep going past failure with this grip. So I'll do like 10 or however many I can get until I stop. Another 10-second rest, and then I'll go again. And as you notice on the third one, I sort of pushed them together just because again, it's giving me assistance to keep going. Whereas here, I probably couldn't keep going. So it's just getting a little bit more past failure. Now the triceps are crazy pumped, and now we move on to the next one. All right, so next we did tricep overhead cable press, whatever you call those. I don't really know the name, but I've been doing them for years. I love them. I know a lot of people, it's hit or miss. Some people like them, some people don't. I definitely found I like them more than most people, but I get a really good connection, really good pump. I don't go crazy heavy. I'll do like higher rep range. So you notice I did like, I think 15 reps is usually the rep range I shoot for. And really, I think the biggest thing is you get the elbow in position, so you're forward, your elbow's here, and like, I keep it like right here. So a lot of people go further back, or not quite as far back. So I think about touching the back of my head with the bar. So I think the further you can get that back, you're getting a better activation within the tricep. And then you'll notice, so I make sure I lock out too on the tricep because it gets a good contraction on the tricep. So I lock out. Sometimes you see people don't lock out. But yeah, pretty basic movement. And then we threw a drop set in at the end, just to really get the crazy nasty pump in there. And now the triceps are nice and pumped right now, you know. So then we moved on to biceps, and the next thing we did for biceps was I usually start out with a cable, some kind of curl. I find the cable has a really good isolation through the whole movement, so you're not really, you got a whole good connection through the whole thing. And I like the one arm too. I usually try to throw in buys a mixture of like 2 arm and 1 arm. Start with the 1 arm cable because it's pretty easy on the joints, so you get some nice blood in there. So a lot of people when they do biceps, sometimes they get cramps, tendonitis, elbow aches. So you got to do stuff to warm that up. So that's why I started out with triceps too. For me personally, it's easier to start with triceps, get nice blood flow in the elbow, start out with a cable. So if you are a type of person that does close grip bench or skull crushers, I always tell people start out with like a cable push down to get everything warmed up first. Luckily we did chest first, so we were pretty warm everywhere, so there's not a whole lot of aches and pains because we already did a lot of chest stuff. But yeah, so the biceps, we just did the 1 arm cable variation. And the biggest thing with I think curls is you don't want to cheat so much, and you got to go a little lighter. So for biceps, I don't really go crazy heavy. Really get a good squeeze, range of motion. So for me, I keep my elbow right to the side, squeeze, might bring my elbow up a little bit for a better contraction. And then when I come down, I sort of drop my elbow back a little bit to my side like this, come down all the way. So full range of motion. When I come up, squeeze, and a little bit more extra like that. So not doing like some people will do like this, or they might bring it back a little bit further, like swing a little bit. So if you want really good arm response, stay super strict. And I think that's the key to biceps. You don't really, it's one of those body parts you don't really progressively overload or progressively get stronger. So you don't really see, generally speaking, people with good arms curling 80-pound dumbbells. Usually people that are trying to show off or think that's the answer. But usually if you find someone with good arms, 9 times out of 10, if they're doing a standing dumbbell curl, they usually aren't going over 45s, maybe 50s tops. You really don't got to go super heavy on biceps. You just got to make sure you're getting a really good contraction, really good execution. And I think that's the key for biceps. Biceps with the preacher curl machine. I love the preacher curl. It always just really good for me, isolation of the biceps. So I have another one at the other gym. It's like a cable attachment preacher curl, which I love. That's my favorite. And then this one's pretty good too. It's a hammer strength plate loaded preacher curl. Still pretty good. And then I like even the bar preacher curl. All those variations of the preacher curl just always hit really good. And this one you'll see, we just did a standard 3 sets and then one with the drop set. So we did a 3 times drop set. So just to finish up with a crazy nasty pump in the biceps. So for me, generally speaking, for myself, for arms, I usually like to hit them more frequent, but less volume. So I think arms, you don't really need to go crazy. I think sometimes people train them a little too long. If you're training your tris and your bis for more than 45 minutes, you're probably training them for too long, in my opinion. A little less volume, I think is better for arms. Get a nasty pump and then just sort of get out. Sort of my philosophy there. And then I'll hit them twice a week. So I may do my own arm day, or sometimes I really like doing it with chest or delts. So right now my current split is legs twice a week, back once a week, and then I do chest and arms one day, and then another day is shoulders and arms. So that's always my fallback. It's a little bit unorthodox. You don't really hear a lot of people sort of doing that, but it works really good. I don't like training biceps at the end of the back. I hate that. I just way too fatigued at the end. Don't want to train them, and I think the more you climb up the bodybuilding ranks, the more arms are important. So if you're a top national level guy, you're a pro bodybuilder, arms go a long way, in my opinion. When you're first starting out, everyone loves training their arms, and then you get into bodybuilding, and then it's like back legs, and then a lot of people forget about their arms. They think they're getting that secondary work, but in my opinion, you really need arms its own sort of day or with like another day with a smaller body part. That's why I do it on chest and delts. I really like it there. Seem to respond really good, and they get a little bit better each year, so I can't go wrong there. But yeah, so give that a try for your next arm day, and some of those chest tips as well. All right, so today we finished up chest, tris, and bis. It's a little bit different there, but I really like doing that. Feels really good. So like I was saying earlier, I do my chest and my arms one day, and then I do delts and arms one day. So that's really good. Yeah, try that out. And for me, delts are sort of a stronger body part, so I don't really have to put as much emphasis there. So that's sort of why I'm able to hit the arms twice a week too. And then use 2 of those days as rest days. I think, you know, rest is definitely super, super important, especially the bigger and better you get. It's usually the more rest recovery you need. So yeah, give this a try. You know, leave some comments in my YouTube. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know what you want to see next. Subscribe, comment, like, anything to sort of help grow the channel. That way it'll give me motivation to keep putting this stuff out there. It seems like I got a good response, but it's a little bit smaller number. So if we can get that to grow, that'd be great, and definitely motivate me to keep pumping these out. You know, some days you don't really see the behind the scenes, but some days you come in here, you don't really want to do the video thing. You just want to train and be quiet. So sometimes people don't realize. Sometimes it's like a little bit of pulling hair sometimes. So I appreciate you guys, you know, following along, all the support I've got. Also, you know, share on your Instagram that, you know, like you're watching my YouTube and stuff, so that way some of your friends will see on Instagram, that kind of stuff. Keep me motivated to keep going. Thanks.